Hello everyone. Today I'd like to discuss the origins of private property and their transformation into the modern rights that we're familiar with today. The term private property is a very specific term and may be considered by some to be the opposite of common property. To the Stone Age peoples who preceded civilization, to use generic terms, essentially most, if not all, land was common property. Common property refers to land of the community. Private property, on the other hand, is land controlled by an individual or individuals to the exclusion of others in very broad terms and subject to other conditions. The evolution of private property is thought to be an economic driver to civilization, and as Demsetz would suggest, and I'll quote, the emergence of new property rights takes place in response to new benefit cost possibilities, and that's due to changing resource values. This has been interpreted to mean that property rights develop when the benefits outweigh the costs of getting them. No one can be certain of the drivers of early civilization due to the lack of written records from that era, and archaeologists remain divided on interpretation of some of the available evidence. Around the end of the last mini ice age, some 10 or 11,000 years ago, according to Bowles and Choi, warmer weather stability was favourable for growth of plants and to a sedentary lifestyle. Such conditions offered the hunter-gatherers of the period a new option to cultivate food production in their lifestyle. Such an opportunity involved a significant leap in technology and its application. However, the benefits could result in a much higher productivity for their labour, which resulted in significant rise in the standard of living. No longer would wheat and barley, for example, required for a loaf of bread, involve scavenging for wild plant growth in regions of increasing scarcity due to that collection by an increasing population. But this grain could be harvested from a set allotment of land which had been specially prepared, sown, and the grain raised for that purpose. The concentration of such available crops resulted in food being available not just for the family who planted the crop, but resulted in surplus production, which could be shared, traded, or bartered with other members of society who could similarly share, trade, or barter their surpluses of other products. The consequences of this significant change from hunter-gatherers to an agricultural-based society were massive, and it required a significant leap in technology and manner of thinking, and not all societies transitioned. However, those communities that did participated in what some call the Neolithic agricultural revolution. The path to the Neolithic agricultural revolution was paved with potholes and filled with barriers, not the least of which was the difficulty faced by farmers planting and raising crops or rearing beasts on land held under common ownership. If a farmer planted crop and another harvested that crop for profit under their rights under the common system, without being involved in its sowing or raising, then what incentive existed for the farmer to plant that crop in the first place? If someone could come along and simply reap the rewards before they had a chance to gather them. Further, if foraging groups or hunter-gatherers damaged or destroyed a productive crop as part of their rights to cross on common property, then again incentives for farmers to grow crops waned. The potential uplift in production for the community by encouraging farmers to grow crops and graze beasts significantly outweighed the continued rights of others to the communal aspect of land under agricultural pursuits. Increasingly, productivity and profits became linked to the land. The increase in production allowed some members of a community the capacity to improve management, planning and organisation of the society, resulting increasingly in a political class. Additionally, a better fed population were more content with how that political class planned and organised their society, rather than being focused on exploring other organisational options through revolution and political instability. One danger of concentrating agricultural production onto a specified allotment or allotments of land was that in the event of warfare with other families, clans or tribes, that destruction of the agricultural allotments of land could devastate a community's capacity not only to maintain its military readiness, but could also damage or destroy a community itself through famine. The tribe with the best food source could afford to better feed its warriors in preparation for war or for protection with its neighbours and a potentially better chance of victory over those less adept hunter-gatherer adjoining neighbours. In order to encourage farming, therefore, it became apparent that a new form of property management was required for the benefit of society, and we see the first steps in providing private property rights for the agricultural, political, and military benefits of the community.